Good evening and welcome to the International Community Candidate Forum for Ward Race 11. At Global Cleveland, we're excited to host this non-political, non-endorsement, community-centered conversation. We look forward to this discussion and the positive momentum for Cleveland's future that it will produce. If English is not your first language, please check the Zoom options bar for the interpretation function. If that option is available, we have live interpretation available. If you click on that tab, you should see an option for languages. Thank you. Before I introduce our moderator and candidate, I would like to thank our partners. Asia Inc., Asia Town Cleveland, Bedondo Community of Greater Cleveland, British American Chamber of Commerce of Ohio, Building Hope in the City, City Club of Cleveland, Cleveland Council on World Affairs, Council on International Programs USA, Cleveland Cultural Gardens, Collaborative Chamber Alliance, Connecting Cleveland, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, Global Shapers Cleveland, NAACP of Cleveland, Ohio Progressive Asian Women's Leadership, Refugee Response, Smart Development Inc., Us Together, USCRI Cleveland, and the Young Latino Network. Thank you. Putting this on would have not been possible without you. Now, before I explain the guidelines of this forum, we have a short video from Mo Kantner from our national partner, NEA, the New American Economy.
Hello, and welcome to today's Candidate Forum with Global Cleveland. My name is Mo Kantner, and I'm the Director of State and Local Initiatives at New American Economy. At New American Economy, we're a bipartisan research and advocacy organization that focuses on making the economic case for better immigration policies at the federal, state, and local levels. Now, immigration may feel like an abstract issue debated at the national level through very technical, political, and bureaucratic constraints, and that's partially true, but immigrant integration happens at the local level. How communities attract and welcome newcomers helps lay the foundation for whether a person stays, works, starts a small business, or raises a family. In Cleveland alone, there are over 125,000 immigrants. They pay over $1.3 billion in taxes and help fill workforce needs in healthcare, manufacturing, and other critical industries. They're also over 60% more likely than the US-born population to start a small business in Cleveland. They not only help fill workforce needs, they create jobs for other Americans. And that is something that can't be captured at the national level. Those impacts are happening on the ground every day in Cleveland's communities. Our local elected officials have a huge impact on people's day-to-day lives. And when policies are established that let everyone live up to their potential, everybody benefits. So thank you again for participating in this critical conversation, and remember to vote.
Thank you, Mo. Seeing as Mr. Hardy is our only candidate, there's not going to be too many guidelines. He's going to have some scheduled questions that are going to be asked by the moderator, and there'll be a short time for question and answer after the pre-written questions are answered. So I'd like to introduce our candidate, Michael Hardy. He's from Cleveland, Ohio, and a product of Cleveland Metro Schools and Cleveland State University undergraduate and graduate programs, and he is proud to be born and raised in this wonderful city. And finally, I'd like to introduce our moderator. Christopher Carey is the Vice President of the British American Chamber of Commerce in Ohio, an organization dedicated to supporting business partners between the US and the UK, providing them business development opportunities, as well as enabling access to a broader transatlantic business network. Furthermore, Christopher is a portfolio manager with Carnegie Investment Council, a registered investment advisor headquartered in Cleveland, who advises on custom portfolios for select clients. Without further ado, I hand it over to Christopher to begin.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And with that, we would like to move on to our discussion questions with our candidate this evening, Mr. Hardy. We're going to have 20 minutes for pre-supply questions. So with that, let us begin. So question one is, what is your experience serving and interacting with the international community in your own community and within Northeast Ohio at large? And how has that interaction shaped your understanding of your community and your role as a leader? Mr. Hardy.
Thank you for the question. Actually, I started interacting with, well, I didn't know, or members of the international community when I was very young, because we'd have, maybe there would be a kid in the class who had immigrated from somewhere. And so I would, so interacted there at that level, and then through grade schools, I started learning more and more and meeting people, different places, different capacities. So it was not just, and I have to say, it was not just Northeast Ohio, but I have brothers and sisters who went to colleges and I would meet people as well. But in Northeast Ohio, per se, as an adult at my university, met quite a bit and studied with people from the international community and went on a study abroad program through my university. And of course, as I said in my paperwork, I lived overseas for many years. And that has been something that has just shaped me in terms of my thought process, how I talk to people, using words in a certain situation. My dad, who served overseas, used to always talk to us about how we interact with individuals. So I'm always talking to people, and I modify how I communicate with individuals. So basically, I'm always looking at the broad picture and not just from my focus land, but I always think about how people think from maybe their perspective. So it's given me a kind of a world view from having those conversations, because I make sure I listen when I'm talking to people, but not just talking to them, but listening to them and having a conversation with and learning from them as well, which is why I'm interested in languages.
Lovely, great, that's good stuff. That's how I actually met my wife when she did a study abroad program. So I'm glad to hear that they were still doing that thing even in your day. Question number 2, please. So our population loss in Cleveland from 2010 to 2018 would have been much worse if it were not for the 37,000 immigrants who moved into Cuyahoga County during that time. These new residents have offset the population loss by 45%. So with that, how can we attract more immigrants to move here and continue this important trend? Mr. Hardy.
We have to make this city more appealing, more in terms of diversity. We have to show that this is a diversity. This is an international city. It's a welcoming city. So I believe that we have to, first of all, make sure that our residents are aware of the benefits of having immigrants move, to the area, and also I think we have to make sure that our say the partner countries that are sending people give basic make sure they're aware of what they may be getting into, so they can be great neighbors as well. So I think it's a two-way street, but definitely from here, leading from that point of view, I think our leaders can make sure that our residents are prepared. I have some ideas to make Ward 11 more attractive to immigrants. So I think it's going to be a concerted effort so that we actually redefine what success is. Job creation, education, job training. We need to redefine that, and that includes having people come in and learn how to do certain things so that they can open businesses and become part of what the individual said earlier in the video about the people more likely to open businesses. So I think we have to take the lead. Our political leaders must take the lead on making this city much more attractive to people from other countries, and I'm willing to go downtown and help lead that effort.
Lovely, thank you so much. Let's go on to question number 3, please. Thank you. There are over 1,000 immigrant entrepreneurs in Cleveland, and they are 38% more likely to be entrepreneurs than US-born residents. How will you work with the next administration to ensure that immigrant entrepreneurs receive opportunities through the Economic Development Office and other city programs?
First of all, I think we need to, recognize that, it's very likely that someone comes here, they're going to start a business. Say 38% more likely, in the U.S. And there's some statistics earlier where the individual said something like over 60% were more likely to start a business here. I don't think she meant like here in Cleveland. And so knowing this, I think we need to make sure that this city is business friendly. So I believe the new next administration must know this, and we must make a concerted effort to form an alliance with people within the Economic Development Office to make sure maybe there's a special committee that will make sure that there's interactions with the current immigrant entrepreneurs, so we can figure out, okay, what barriers did they face? What were the difficulties? I know when I click onto the website for our economic development office, I don't see things right away that jump out that say that it would help the immigrant population. So I think we need to make everything user friendly. Of course, from the top down, but the communication from within would make it very, very easy, or a lot easier for people to open businesses. So I think, it's going to be recognizing it and having leadership from the top to recognize what's going on, so that there's interaction, that we're leading from within. And since I'm here at this global forum, that I'm very interested in making sure it's easier for immigrants to open businesses, especially since I lived overseas and I had a tiny little operation myself, but it was not big enough for me to sell, of course. But so yes, I do recognize the difficulties of trying to navigate the business world when you're on a new turf.
Lovely, thank you very much. Let's move on to question number 4, please. So, would you, and if so, how would you support adding new members and staff to the Community Relations Board that represent the changing immigrant population in Cleveland, such as the African Immigrant Community Liaison and the Arab Immigrant Community Liaison? Mr. Hardy.
Okay, thank you. One thing I would say is, have the interaction. So see if it's having the Community Relations Board, if they are aware of what's going on, like how much do they know about it? So I think there needs to be a process of interaction. So we need to engage with the leaders of the African immigrant community and the Arab immigrant community, so that people would know, we get the education out there. There needs to be just a lot of interaction. So a lot of this will be interaction related, so that we're leading from the top, but not really leading, but starting the leadership, but actually ultimately going from within, so that we're leading from within. So I think a lot of it is information based, starting there and see who's interested, and then making people more aware of the events that go on where there's a lot of interactions. And so going from that point of view, but also just setting up opportunities where people can interact and find out about the position, and the community relations representatives can speak at schools, even to kids when they're really young, so that we can start building this at a young age. But they speak to kids in middle school, high school, and talk to kids in universities. We need to do things so that we encourage people to remain here. This might be a layer question, but so that we don't have our talent drained. So I think people just need to know about opportunities, what exists in our city, so that they will want to be part of the city, not in the short term, but long term, and build their businesses, raise their families, and be the blossoming butterflies that others hope to be and are actually becoming.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Hardy. Let's move on to question number 5, please. And that is, on average, 500 to 700 refugees are resettled to Cleveland every year from countries such as Nepal, Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Somalia. The Biden-Harris administration announced they will increase refugee admissions to 125,000 a year nationally, up from 15,000 this year. That means Cleveland's 3 refugee resettlement agencies will receive 3 to 4 times as many families as they did in the past year. So with that, how do you plan to open Cleveland for these new residents and provide refugees with the opportunity to contribute to Cleveland? Mr. Hardy.
Okay, thank you for the question. With this, I think when you have people coming in and they're new to the area, like I said, making the area attractive. I think one thing I was thinking, I don't know if I shared this in the paperwork. I think we must make sure that we have these festivals. We have like the festivals, different ethnic group festivals. I think we should go more with an all nations festival. So we have all nations festivals, so people get to understand more about immigrant families, their histories and things of that sort. So we have lots of festivals along those lines. We have one in say the wards. Maybe some wards are cooperating with each other, and there could be a multi-day thing if possible. But also it needs to be part of the curriculum as well. So I think kids need to learn about refugees and what goes on in other countries, and how we have a population here, and how much people contribute to the economy and paying taxes. So I think that so that many people have to be educated on what's going on, and I think so a lot of it is information gathering. So it's information gathering through our not our newsletters, but even if we have special newsletters, like for my ward, we don't have a special newsletter. We have one from the city. I want to have one that's specific for our community that goes more in depth, where people are sharing things from their culture. Maybe they might write an article in their native language and it's translated. So I just think there needs to be more interaction with people, and also, like I said, making these opportunities available for them. So when they come here, they know, okay, we have these things are available beyond whatever career you might want. I want you to think about having your own business. Sorry, I know that time's up.
No worries. Let's move on to question number 6, please. So annually, hundreds of international students from Case Western, Cuyahoga Community College, and Cleveland State University they graduate with skills that are in demand. However, they are not being retained in the local area to contribute to the population and economic growth. Can you share ideas of what policies you will support to increase the retention of graduates in the area? Mr. Hardy.
Okay, sure. One thing I think that we need to do, as I said, I may have mentioned this in another question, we have to reimagine and rethink what economic growth and job training and job opportunities are. We need to just reimagine and rethink this. Here in Cleveland, we had a very big manufacturing sector. It was very mighty, and many people thought it was going to lead them to prosperity. So basically, I'll keep looking at the questions. And it did not happen. So we didn't make the changes. We didn't reconfigure our industrial sector. Some of our peer cities did, and they were able to thrive and not be hit as hard economically. So what we must do here is make sure that we're prepared for the digital age. A lot of jobs are digital now. So, IT, education, healthcare, financial services, these things are digital. So what we need to do is make sure that we have the workforce here that's actually doing things, building things, so that when companies come here, our graduates will be able to go into these companies, and we can grow. We need to build jobs. We must go in that direction. We have not done that here. We let things pass us by, and our peer cities were able to thrive. We were not. So what we must do here is rethink and reimagine economic development and job opportunities. I believe we'll be able to keep more people here, whether immigrants or people who've lived here for a long time and went to school, so that they're not fleeing to other cities, other states, California, Texas, Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas, and Virginia. But we must hit the gas and really take this seriously. I'm ready to do this. I would like to go downtown and form alliances with like-minded council people who are determined to bring our city into the future, because that's definitely what we need to do. We'll keep a lot of people here and make it more attractive for people to stay.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Hardy. So we're about to go on to question number 7. Just before that, that's going to be the final pre-supply question for today. So if there's any questions that anyone would like to ask Mr. Hardy, now is the ideal time to pop those to us using the chat function in Zoom. Send those along. That would be wonderful. And now with that, question number 7, which is, Cleveland has sister cities all around the world, such as Ibadan, Nigeria, Lima, Peru, Gdansk, Poland, and Bangalore in India. What is your game plan for making Cleveland a more open and international-facing city to strengthen and grow these relationships? Mr. Hardy.
Okay, definitely, let's say that we need interaction with individuals from each of the countries, and do a lot of interaction there to gather research. You know, what are we doing? What have we done right? What have we done wrong? What could we do better? So we could do that and start there, so that we have interacting, not just one person from each country, but several. So we have like a committee, and then we have people downtown. Hopefully, people like myself who are dedicated to interacting and making sure the communication process is as solid as it can be, so that we are totally open, being totally candid. We want people to be candid. What were the struggles? What could we do better? So we want open and candid conversation. Too oftentimes, I think people might become concerned or afraid of saying things. We need to let them know, okay, we want you to open up. We need to know everything we need to know, so that we can do better for people who are coming here. So I think we start there, and I think we could make the area more attractive that way. Just by doing that, we could go a long way, because the communication process is there. It's a two-way street. So I would say starting there, then interacting more with the people from the different countries, and also helping prepare have an education process on both sides. As I said before, our residents here could learn more about people from other countries through the different channels that I mentioned, through media, social media, their school curriculum, etc., the All Nations festivals. And then overseas, you have to prepare people who are coming here for how to interact with people here in the US through different type of educational programs, similar to what I just mentioned. So I actually had to do something similar before I went to Spain to live with a family. And before I moved to South Korea and Taiwan, I did some things on my own, because that was independent. So I learned some things prior to going. I wouldn't say the Korean experience was independent, because actually I was arranged to go there through other methods. But so I'm just saying it needs to be a communicative process from within.
Lovely, Mr. Hardy. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to go into the question and answer session. I see we have one question so far in the chat, and it is this. How will you take advantage of industry in Ward 11 to get more immigrants hired? You said that you had specific ideas for Ward 11. So with that, what are they? Mr. Hardy.
Okay, in terms of hiring, the questions taking about, okay, the industry, okay, hiring immigrants. First of all, I think we need to communicate with, the industries, and figure out, the skills that they're looking for, and we can start there, and we could figure out and then talk to the immigrant community about certain positions that they're looking for. So I think from the economic development department, and we have a local CDC here. I sit on the board of Westtown Community Development Corporation. I think a lot of this will come from our conversations, our interaction from within. So I think we start there. And then we're looking at different types of recruitment, different things, where we go to some of the groups that were mentioned before. So we look at how they could, if this is an industry that's appealing to them, say whatever the business is. But also I think the business, we must set up a way for the business to know how to bring in immigrants, so that they feel comfortable as well. And there's one point that just slipped my tongue, but the diversity training needs to be part of it as well. Part of their diversity training needs to include immigrants. And then I think as a city, as a ward, I would like to reward companies that hire immigrants and treat immigrants well. And there's some of this is going on with some of our publications, favorite company for immigrants, favorite company for different categories. So I think we need to reward them even more through social media praise, all type traditional media praise. So we can do a lot. I think leading from the top, we're really leading from within, by making sure that we praise companies that do right by not just by the workers, but by immigrant workers even more so. And I would know I would have the feeling there because I haven't worked abroad. I know how sometimes it could be a little bit uncomfortable when you're going into a new setting and I'm sure, and maybe you know that a little bit, Mr. Gary, but maybe if you're coming in from the outside, maybe you sound different, people, and because I've been told that I sound, my voice is unique or accent is unique or so. Yeah, so I just know, I would know where they're coming from. Sorry if my answer is way too long, but yeah, so I would know how they're feeling. And I think this is where I'll be able to communicate really well with anyone who's coming here to this country. Yeah, I would know how to do that.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much. Just double checking. Okay, that was it. So with that, let's wrap up. So thank you everyone once again for attending the Ward 11 Candidate Forum. We would like to thank the candidate, Mr. Michael Hardy, for coming here in good faith to speak to the international community this evening. As a reminder, we invited every candidate running for election in this ward, and everyone was given equal opportunity to reply. You can find the answers to these questions from Mr. Hardy and every candidate who completed the questionnaire on our website. We would especially like to thank the audience for coming. It's your vote that determines the next generation of Cleveland City leadership. Thank you to the interpreters as well for providing language access. We would also like to thank our incredible sponsors and partners who made these forums possible. And they are, in alphabetical order, Asia Inc., Asia Town Cleveland, Bedondo Community of Greater Cleveland, British American Chamber of Commerce of Ohio, Building Hope in the City, City Club of Cleveland, Cleveland Council on World Affairs, Council of International Programs USA, the Cleveland Cultural Gardens, Collaborative Chambers Alliance, Connecting Cleveland, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, Global Shapers Cleveland, the NAACP of Cleveland, the Ohio Progressive Asian Women's Leadership, Refugee Response, Smart Development, US Together, USCRI Cleveland, and finally the Young Latino Network. All of these organizations perform wonderful work with and for our international community. You can find them on social media and on the web to learn more about the work that they do. And with that, have a lovely evening, everyone. And remember, we strengthen our city by welcoming the world.